Are you looking for a luxury flagship full-size SUV this year? Well, this is the place to be because we have tested out nearly every single one of them, and today we're going to rank them. Now, this is a segment with quite a few options, and most importantly, a lot of these options are completely redesigned this year or heavily refreshed. So that's why today we are going to be ranking them.
And our rankings aren't just going to be arbitrary. They're going to be based on the 10 most important categories to you, the flagship luxury SUV shopper. We'll be ranking them individually in those categories from a scale of 1 to 5. And then at the end, we'll do our subjective driveway pick as to which one we'd put in our driveway after living with them.
So after expert evaluation, what are our best picks? Well, let's go ahead and find out. So we spent countless hours testing out these vehicles. We did things like driving them all over different types of terrain and different types of climates. We tested out the technology. We, of course, checked out all the luxury features and the goodies that spoil you. And then we took that data, we put it into a chart so that we could build this ranking based on the most important categories to you guys. Now, those 10 most important categories we're going to be grading are as follows. Premium cabin materials, so how much does the cabin spoil you? Luxury features, that could be a ton of different things. Technology, again, a wide-reaching category. Powertrain and capability, so looking at things like refinement, MPG, towing. Drive experience, cargo space, second and third rows, active safety features, reliability, and what do you get for $110,000?
Now, in each of those 10 categories, we'll be ranking them from 1 to 5, 1 being poor, 5 being exceptionally good for the segment. And we do want to make a special note about this segment. This is just for the full-size flagship 3-row SUVs. We do already have a ranking on the channel for the 3-row mid-size SUVs for vehicles like the Acura MDX, Audi Q7, vehicles like that. Volvo XC90 is another example.
Now, there also won't be any electric SUVs on this list. However, there are a couple full EV options in this segment, and there won't be any Land Rovers on this list because, unfortunately, they will not provide us any for our channel to test out.
Now, there are 7 total options in this segment, so without further ado, let's go ahead and rank them. All right, so let's start out with the number 7 pick, which is the Lexus LX. This comes in at an overall score of 28, and where does it score highly? Well, that's going to be in a couple different categories, but really the main one to point out is reliability, resale value. Honestly, on this list, that's a pretty uncommon thing to score well in. This LX does really well at a 4.5 in that category. Additionally, it gets a 4 in active safety features and powertrains and capability. This is one of the only options on this list that has a hybrid, and it's also incredibly off-road capable. So that's definitely something worth noting on this list. That's also pretty rare. As far as the luxury features, it does well in that category as well. You have things like soft closed doors, a cool box, heated and ventilated front and rear seats. So it does pretty well in a lot of those categories. Its weakest point would be the cargo space, where it comes in at 1. It is very small for this segment, and the third row is not good either.
Yeah, that cargo space is actually about the same as a compact crossover like a RAV4.
And by the way, if any of these individual categories that we are ranking in matters more or less to you, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings, because we've actually gone through, put a chart on our website, and you can organize based on those individual categories. So for instance, if reliability is the most important things, you can see the most reliable options, space, technology, those categories are broken down for you, so you can see how the list might change depending on each category.
Now let's roll into the number 6 slot, and that is the Jeep Grand Wagoneer. This, of course, is their flagship luxury SUV, and let's talk a little bit about its high scores. So one of the big high scores it has is here at the powertrain and capability. It comes standard with the high output Hurricane engine, so that gives you a lot of power. It's actually one of the highest standard power figures on this entire list, and it gives you a lot of towing capability as well. Now, when we're talking about space, that's another big area it excels in. You've got both the standard wheelbase and the long version, the L, and that third row is insane, guys. It's almost exactly the same as the second row in terms of space, and tons of cargo capacity as well. Now, of course, you're going to have a lot of features on board, and for $110,000, which is what we've identified as kind of a standard price point that a lot of people are shopping at, you're going to be able to get almost every single feature that this vehicle offers.
Now, it doesn't do so hot when it comes to the technology. It's just going to kind of be basic for this segment with Uconnect 5, and reliability and resale value where it gets a 1.5. And by the way, if you are curious about the category of reliability, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/reliability. Even though many of these models are just now entering the market, our reliability rankings consider the historic performance of a brand via several of the industry-leading reliability studies combined to give you a more holistic picture. Again, you can find out information about reliability at carconfections.com/reliability, as well as our methodology. And now we're rolling on to the number 5 pick, which is the all-new Infiniti QX80. Now, we spent a full week with this model, driving it around, doing all types of things, and we were very impressed with what Infiniti has done. And as you can see, based on the scores, it does quite well. 36 total points on this one. And as far as its good categories, drive experience is something worth highlighting. Infiniti has a new air suspension for this model. It makes the ride really fantastic, and surprisingly so, it also drives a lot better on a back road than you might expect for a full-size body-on-frame SUV. Additionally, the second and third rows are very impressive space-wise as well as feature-wise. If you get that fully loaded autograph, you have massaging, heated and ventilated back seats, lots of features going on. The premium cabin materials also impressed us. There is a lot of nice stuff inside the cabin, and it's put together quite solidly. Also, the value for what you get under $110,000, that is pretty solid. You can get all but the very top-end autograph for that price point. Now, you'll notice it just gets an average score of 3 when it comes to luxury features, because you will notice that it does lack a few little things that some of the options later on in this list have, like soft closed doors, as well as power running boards, and it's also not offering an extended wheelbase version like a lot of the other body-on-frame SUVs.
All right, let's keep things moving with the number 4 slot, and that belongs to the redesigned Lincoln Navigator. So this was a model that just started rolling out to dealerships, and we recently got to test it out, and our total score here is 36.5 points. Now, its strongest areas when we're going through this list really revolve a lot around space. This is a big option. We've got a ton of space. This is another model that comes with an L extended wheelbase. Also, our second and third rows are super impressive in terms of comfort, as well as just the general features that it gives you. You can get the kind of exec style back seats. It's really, really nice stuff. Now, we also have good active safety features across the lineup, including hands-free Blue Cruise. And then, if you're looking at $110,000, that's going to get you really a lot of features, because they've moved to giving you almost everything standard in this new generation. It starts kind of at a higher price point, just under $100,000, but really all your major things are going to be standard. Now, you might be wondering, when you see the score for technology, why that's not a little bit higher, because this has this new 48-inch pillar-to-pillar display. Well, the reason why is actually the functionality of that display. While it is the passenger side doesn't have an entertainment zone, for example. It does not have a head-up display anymore like many of the rivals. And you also don't have night vision or AR cameras either. So just a few little tiddly bits, as well as just having to adjust things like the vents inside of the screen.
Yeah, it also scores low when it comes to reliability and resale value, and the premium cabin materials, it just gets an average score on that. We think that they could have done a better job with that model. Now, we are getting ready to get into our top 3 flagships, but first, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then, we have reviewed over 2,000 vehicles at every price point.
No matter what you're looking for, from humble to high-end, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars.
All right, so what's our number 3 pick? Well, that is going to be the Mercedes-Benz GLS. Now, this comes in an overall score of 37, and overall, as you can see on the screen right now, it does well in a lot of categories. For instance, starting out with premium cabin materials, it gets the maximum score of a 5 out of 5 possible points. It's really a lovely place to spend time. The Germans do this really, really well. Luxury features, it also has pretty much anything that you're going to want. It has massaging seats, and not just massaging seats, lumbar or whatever. This is very good massaging seats. We're even rating the quality of the massage. We've experienced it. Fantastic audio system. It has heated armrest on your door panels and stuff. It does not offer a cool box like some of the options, though. And then moving past that, powertrains and capability is another area where it scores really well. 4.5 points on that. Has a ton of options. There are standard inline 6, you have a V8, a powerful V8 with the AMG version, and they also tow really well. If you're curious about that, it only tows about 500 pounds less than the Escalade, and it has one of the best MPGs on this list, especially compared to those body-on-frame options. Now, where does it score a little bit lower? That's going to be cargo space. It gets a 2 in that category. Certainly not as big as some of the, body on frames like the QX80 Navigator and Escalade. However, when it comes to resale and reliability, it also scores pretty low in that category of a 1.5. Now, by the way, if you're looking to buy any of the vehicles on this list or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, the reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that'll connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation and can really help the dealers to start competing on price. You can once again find that in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video.
Now we're getting to the end here, so things are getting real, and it's time for our number 2 spot. That is going to be another German vehicle. It's the BMW X7. Our total score jumps up a decent amount here to 40.5. Very, very impressive. And you can see in those scores, we have a lot of really high numbers, a lot of 5s as a matter of fact. So that starts out with our premium cabin materials. It's really just a beautifully executed interior with a lot of customizability. It moves into, of course, the luxury features. You've got high-end audio systems. You have heated, ventilated, massaging seats, which are really, really good, and just a lot of things to spoil you. And then as we kind of keep going down, powertrains and capability, you have a lot of choices when it comes to that as well. V8, inline 6-cylinder, all of them are very capable. Even the base engine is very fast, 0 to 60, and towing is very comparable even to the large American body-on-frame SUVs. Drive experience, riding quality is excellent, and it also handles pretty good because, of course, it is the ultimate driving machine. And then finally, as we kind of get to the bottom here, this is something that is kind of funny to say because you never say this about a BMW. This actually is kind of value-packed. For $110,000, you could really check off almost every single possible option on a 40i model, or you could take off some of those options and get a V8 model, but really, you're very, very well equipped.
Now, its worst category is going to be the cargo space because 4 on this list, if you're going to be frequently putting a bunch of stuff in the back, it's certainly not as big as some of the other options, including things like our number 1 pick, which is the refreshed Cadillac Escalade. Here we are, you knew this car was going to pop on the list, and indeed it is in the King number 1 slot. And why is that the case? Well, because it gets 41 points overall. It gets either a 5 or a 4 in every category besides for 2, the reliability and the value. So that just tells you pretty much everything you need to know. This Escalade really nails this flagship segment well. Premium cabin materials, it has you covered. Lots of luxury, especially if you choose the platinum models. When it comes to the luxury features, perhaps one of the most vehicles on, actually, I think it is the most features that you're going to get as far as that's concerned. You have things like fully power-operated doors, power running boards, soft closed doors. You have incredible technology as well. You have that new 55-inch screen that goes all the way across pillar to pillar, AR cameras, night vision, head-up display. It's a lot, guys. It is certainly a lot. Also, when it comes to things like the powertrain, you have that standard 6.2 liter V8, which certainly is not the most powerful one on this list as a standard feature, but certainly it sounds fantastic. And then you also have the availability of getting the Escalade V for those of you that really want to spend the big bucks. Additionally, the space is just going to absolutely nail this. It is the largest option on this list. If you choose the ESV version, you can have over 140 cubic feet of cargo capacity, which is fantastic. Active safety features, it has you covered there, including things like Super Cruise, which is, in our opinion, the very best hands-free system out there. So if you're going to be doing frequent highway and secondary route, so if you're going to be doing frequent highway and secondary road cruising, that's certainly something to keep in mind. And like I mentioned, the only two categories it doesn't do so hot in is the value. I think that's probably one of the worst things about the Escalade is the price has certainly gone up as the years keep going along, and you can't even get a platinum model for the $110,000 price point. It's actually significantly more than that to get a base platinum, so that's just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, even since this generation first debuted, the price has gone up massively, and now you're looking at, to get the things that you might want, you might have to spend $125 or something like that.
Yeah. But that concludes our objective list. But which one are we putting in our driveway after living with all of them?
So for our driveway picks, we're actually on the same page for this one. We would both choose the BMW X7. Of course, this was the number 2 slot, and there are different reasons you would go for each one, but in our lifestyles right now, we wouldn't need the maximum amount of space, and we'd be okay with trading a little bit of space for the dynamic ability of the BMW just being a little bit more pleasant and sporty to drive on the day-to-day.
Yeah, I agree with that, absolutely. I also appreciate the German luxury details. That's even something that the Escalade can't quite match. It does have a few parts that are like shared with a Tahoe, for instance. I really love like the little details, like the glass controls and stuff that you're going to find on the X7. And I do think it's a better value than the GLS as well. But guys, that is going to be it for this countdown video. Hopefully you found this helpful. We know there are a ton of options in this segment, and there's a ton of things to consider, especially in a flagship 3-row full-size SUV, that is for sure. If it was helpful to you, we'd really appreciate if you subscribe down below. By subscribing, you're going to get the latest car reviews, as well as countdowns and things like this. We'd additionally encourage you to, once again, go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings as well, because going on our website will allow you to categorize based on those individual categories that might matter more or less to you. If that's the space or the luxury, you can find all of that on our website already. Anyway, we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies. And if you're already a fan and subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. See ya.